to another Ask Nerida Joy video. So I have a question that I've been asked to answer, and that's from Jessica. And she wanted to know, she's an esthetician, and she wanted to know some do's and don'ts that you do when you first see your clients. So first I will talk about the do's. So when a client comes in my room, now also understanding that I do work at a 5-star spa, and in working at a 5-star spa, we there do address people by their last name, and it's also important to shake their hand and introduce yourself. And in walking into the treatment room, it's important that you tell your client how it is that you would like them to get unchanged, if they're derobing from a robe or if they're putting a robe on, in just how they should dress. For if you're working, in my case, I always say I need you to be bare from here up, because I like to work not only on the face, but I'm working on the neck and the décolleté as well. I do also ask that they remove their jewelry, and if they have not already, that is important. And then I have them lie down on my table facing upwards, and then I tell them I'm going to be leaving the room. I will knock before I come back into the room, just to make sure that you are ready and that I can now enter. So once that happens, then they're on the table. I start with the, I always like to talk to my clients looking at them. So I don't like to talk to them so much from behind. When I'm sitting behind their head, I go around and I look at them and talk to them that way. So first, I will then ask them if they are comfortable on the table, if there is anything that I need to do to the table to make them more comfortable. Are their legs high enough? Is it the raised area of the table hitting them in the right spot on their lower back, to make sure that they're comfortable, and that the temperature of the room and that the music is also comfortable for them. It's not too loud, because there is nothing worse than having a treatment when the music is either just the kind of music that you don't like, or music that's just too loud and doesn't allow the client to relax. So these things are really important, just to make sure that their comfort level is perfect for them, because we want to be able to give them the perfect treatment. And I do want to mention to you that something that's very important is that we as estheticians, and when you're booked back to back with clients, it's really important the presentation of the room when your client enters the room. So you want to make sure that your bed is always perfect looking, that it's very inviting for them, and that the sheets and everything is really smooth, and that it looks perfect, because for each client that really makes them feel very comfortable. It makes them feel very good. It's also makes them feel that it's your treatment room is very clean, and all these things are really important. So the presentation of your room is very important, and you want to make sure, before you go to collect your client, turn around, look through that door at your bed that they're going to be lying on, and make sure that it is really comfortable looking, and that everything looks perfect, that the mat on the floor that they're going to be stepping on, there's no tags hanging out, and that everything looks neat. So that is something that is important, and it's important to have as a 5-star esthetician, because that does reflect on you. So once your client has then is lying on the table, I like to go around and I look at them and I say to them, number one, is there anything that you're allergic to that I need to know about? And number two, what are your concerns with your skin? Because what's important is, number one, that we know if they have any allergies to any product. That is something that's very important. And number two, we need to know with our clients that what it is that they see on their skin when they look at themselves in the mirror. So sometimes, what I see in my clients is not always what they see. And most of the time, most of my clients will say, or a new client coming in will say, I do not like that I have these large pores on my nose, or that I have these blackheads. And in actual fact, they may not necessarily be large, or they may not even have a lot of blackheads, but to them it is something that is very concerning and bothersome. So we want to make sure that we speak about that to them. So once I find out their concerns, and if they have any allergies, I then go and sit down in my chair And before sitting, I apologize, I do say to my client that I'm going to be washing my hands, and we are going to be getting started with our treatment. So usually the length of time of that treatment is also something that I say early on. I have you here for 1 hour, a 60-minute treatment, or I have you here for a 90-minute treatment. And it's, then I will go and wash my hands and I come back and sit. At that point, I like to first cleanse their skin with a cleanser. And then after cleansing, I will put goggles on their face and I will bring the light over to have a look. So what's important when you go to turn on your Maggie light, and especially for a lot of newer estheticians out there, it's important that you do not turn the Maggie light on over top of your client's face. So you turn it on away from the client's face and then you are bringing it over to your client. So that's something that I often would see with new estheticians, is just to be conscious of the light and people's sensitivity to light. Sometimes the goggles are not enough for your client, and sometimes you need to put a cotton pad underneath the goggles first before you put the goggles on, just because of the sensitivity to light. So it's something to just be conscious of. And obviously if you bring a light over to their face and you see them squinting, then you know that they're sensitive to it. So you could then say, push the light back away and say, I can see that you're a little sensitive to the light today, so let me put some extra cotton pads underneath the goggles so that we can make sure that it's comfortable for you. So then you pull the light over again, and now we're looking at all the skin concerns and the different things that we're seeing on the skin. So again, once I start with my diagnosis, I will say, I have a look and I scan the skin. And I say, for you new estheticians out there, I know a lot of you say, I don't know how to scan the skin, Nerida, and I don't know what I'm looking for. And obviously that takes practice, and and you get better and better as time goes on. So I always say to people, the best thing to do for the new estheticians is to have a little pad beside you, and you have written on that pad all the things that you are to look for. And that is, number one, your first thing is going to be, what skin type am I looking at? So am I looking at a dry skin? Is it a dry combination, a combination oily, or an oily skin? And then you're going to look, the next thing on your pad is going to be your subconditions. What is a subcondition? Now the subcondition is what we as estheticians can change. So if someone is a combination dry skin, meaning that they're more dry than oily, but they're very surface dry all over their skin, then that surface dryness is what we call a subcondition. So these are the things that you have listed on your pad. And if you're starting out as an esthetician, and many of my subscribers out there are new estheticians going through beauty school, because they always say, I'm so grateful, I'm in beauty school and I'm learning so much from you. If you are a new esthetician out there, because it does take you some time to go through this list, which means the light is going to be on your client for some time on their face. What's important for you to say to your client, because you want to be thorough in what you do, because being thorough is being a 5-star esthetician. So what you want to say to your client is, I want to really have a good look at your skin today, because I want to give you the best possible treatment for your skin. And for me to do that, I want to scan every ½ an inch of your face, just to make sure that we are addressing everything and that I can work on all the things that are needed for you today. So in doing that, it's going to take me about 5 minutes. I really want to be thorough with this, and I'm telling you, your client will really appreciate it. So be really thorough with your list, and make sure that you have it already written out, so that every time you start a new client, you have that list right beside you. And of course your client doesn't need to know it's right beside you. And then you're going over and you're looking at everything. So you're looking at what skin type they have, what is the subconditions that you're seeing, do they have surface dryness? Are you seeing those fine, tiny little lines that are not really wrinkles, but they look like very fine little wrinkles because they're very surface dry? And then what you look for is, you say, what is their pore size like? So pay attention, is their pore size, would you say it's small, medium, or large? Do they have any burst, broken blood vessels, any little spider nevi where the capillaries have burst? Are we seeing ruddiness? Are you seeing pustules, papules? What type of pimples are they getting? Are they getting it around the jawline? Whereabouts on their face are they breaking out? If they're breaking out, do they have a lot of lines around their mouth? Do they have a lot of lines and puffiness and dark circles around their eyes? And what other things? So you have your list beside you and you're scanning over everything to make sure you're forcing your eyes to look at your client's skin to see what is going on with their skin. And this is how you learn how to do skin analysis. This is how you learn how to be thorough. And the more you do this with your little pad, you will eventually get to a place where you don't need your little pad anymore, and you will automatically be able to scan your client's face very quickly and then be able to see what it is you need to do. So once you've gone through and you've scanned your pad and you've looked at all your things, then what I do is I walk around and I like to, again, I look at my client on the table. I don't like to talk to them from the back. I like to look at their eyes, and I like to tell them, first of all, you did mention you have large pores, or whatever their concern was in the beginning. I talk about it now that I've looked at their skin, and I might say, you know what, your pore size, I know you said you're concerned about it. We are certainly going to address your pore size today, but compared to what we see out there, that maybe your pore size is just very average or even on the smaller side. So in other words, addressing their concerns, but then I'm going to tell them what I've just seen looking at their skin through the Maggie lamp. So I might be saying something like, you're a little bit surface dry, and you know, I might ask them what type of cleanser they're using. If they're using a foaming cleanser, that will it's very common that people are surface dry with using foaming cleansers, especially living in a drier climate. But I will address, maybe they have puffiness under their eyes, what we are going to be doing today to help those different concerns that I may have just seen on their skin after scanning their skin. So I tell the client what it is I'm going to be doing on them for that day, and that's a really important part, is that your client knows that, oh great, she's already addressed my pore size, and now she's told me some other things that she's going to do that she's seen on my skin, and the things that she's going to be doing in the treatment today to help alleviate that condition. So I like to sort of to tell them what it is what I've seen, to tell them tell my client what it is that I'm going to be doing in that treatment to help those concerns that I've just seen on her skin, and then how her skin's going to feel come the end of it, and to make sure that we've addressed that and that we are going to be able to take care of these things throughout her treatment. So that's really important. And then the one thing that I will say that is an absolute no-no, and I've heard so many estheticians, this is the don't do for the estheticians, and I've heard, as I said, many estheticians do this, is that when you first take a client in your room, your treatment room, it is not okay to say to your client, would you like me to do a collagen treatment on you today? Or some kind of mask that you might, before the client is, number one, even got undressed and got on the table. And most importantly, number two, you haven't even looked at their skin. So, you know, most of these masks in a lot of places are upgrades, but it is not okay to, number one, ask your client if you would like them to do a collagen treatment on you, and because you haven't even looked at their skin to tell them to see if the collagen treatment is something that's going to be wonderful for their skin. So it's important to always look at their skin first, and then you can recommend what is right for them and why it's going to be so great for their skin. But you don't want to ask them, number one, if you're going to do it, and if they would like the upgrade of a collagen, if you haven't even looked at their skin and told them why they, number one, why it would benefit them, and number two, you know, just address the concern of being, you want to really take control of being the professional, and that you're recommending it for a reason, and that's because it's good for their skin. So I just want to mention, don't do that. That's a definite do not do. Do not prescribe or recommend anything until you look at your client's skin to be able to go forward in saying that, well, this is something that's a benefit because, and then the reason. So that was something that I wanted to mention. I hope that I have answered Jessica's questions, and for the do's and don'ts of being a 5-star esthetician. And thank you, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.